What if the quiet monotony of your suburban life was suddenly disrupted by the arrival of a glowing, otherworldly neighbor whose presence not only transforms your world but also sets the stage for an adventure beyond imagination? Nestled in the heart of a quiet suburban street, an unassuming man sat by his living room window, cradling a lukewarm cup of coffee. His hands, weathered by time and routine, rested heavily on the mug, mirroring the weight of his thoughts. At 50, he had long since settled into a rhythm that felt less like stability and more like stagnation. The clock on the mantel ticked away, its steady rhythm a constant reminder of the days slipping through his fingers. Outside, the world remained unchanged, a predictable tableau of manicured lawns and orderly sidewalks. He sighed, setting the mug down with a muted clink, and reached for his worn gardening gloves. Perhaps the roses needed tending, at least they offered some semblance of purpose. As he stepped outside, the summer sun bore down on him, its warmth both comforting and oppressive. Kneeling in the dirt, he began pruning the overgrown bushes, the repetitive motion offering a fleeting distraction from the monotony of his thoughts. But just as he lost himself in the task, a low rumble broke the stillness. A moving truck rolled down the street, halting abruptly at the house next door. Curiosity stirred within him, pulling him to his feet. Peering over the fence, he muttered under his breath, "New neighbors." It had been years since anyone new had moved to this sleepy corner of suburbia. The movers began unloading furniture, but something about their cargo caught his attention, strange, pulsating orbs that seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy. His brow furrowed in confusion. Then, she appeared. She was tall, her limbs elongated and graceful, almost too perfect to be human. But it wasn't her height or poise that left him speechless, it was her skin, shimmering with an ethereal glow. When she turned, her deep violet eyes locked onto his, and for a moment, he felt as though she could see straight through him. Heart racing, he ducked behind the fence, his mind reeling. An alien. An actual extraterrestrial had just moved in next door. The sound of his elderly neighbor's voice startled him. "You all right over there?" she called from her porch, concern etched into her features. He managed a weak reply, "Fine, just fine," before she nodded knowingly. "Did you see?" Her wide eyes mirrored his disbelief. Before he could respond, a melodic voice floated over the fence. "Hello, neighbors. I hope I'm not disturbing anyone with my arrival." Reluctantly, he stood, coming face to face with the woman who had upended his quiet existence. Up close, her beauty was even more striking, her skin glowing softly as if lit from within. "Hello," he stammered, welcome to the neighborhood." Her lips curved into a smile, her eyes crinkling with warmth. "Thank you. I look forward to getting to know you better." There was something in her tone, a hint of intrigue, that made his cheeks flush. Clearing his throat, he ventured, "Where exactly are you from, if you don't mind me asking?" She replied casually, as though discussing a move from another state rather than another solar system. "A planet you've likely never heard of. It's quite far from here." This unexpected encounter set the stage for a journey neither of them could have anticipated. Themes of curiosity, connection, and transformation began to weave their way into the fabric of his once predictable life. As the days unfolded, he found himself drawn to her presence, captivated by the mysteries she carried with her. The mundane rhythms of his suburban existence were about to give way to something extraordinary, something that would challenge everything he thought he knew about the world, and himself. The arrival of the new neighbor sent ripples through the quiet fabric of the suburban community. Margaret, the elderly woman who lived across the street, was the first to approach, her curiosity piqued by the strange commotion unfolding next door. Clutching a freshly baked pie in her trembling hands, she shuffled toward the glowing figure now standing in the yard. Her voice, though faint, carried a note of awe as she extended the dish. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she murmured, her gaze fixed on the shimmering newcomer. The alien smiled warmly, her radiant presence seeming to envelop Margaret in a soft, golden light. "How thoughtful," she said, her voice lilting like a melody. Reaching out to accept the pie, her fingers brushed against the man's arm, sending a jolt of electricity coursing through him. He gasped, momentarily frozen, as their eyes locked in an intense, knowing stare. "I do hope we'll become good friends," she purred, her words dripping with a subtle promise of things to come. The man swallowed hard, unsure how to respond, his mind struggling to reconcile the surreal events of the morning with the ordinary life he had known just hours earlier. Margaret, meanwhile, gaped openly, her shock unabated. "Good Lord," she muttered, shaking her head in disbelief. "I never thought I'd see the day." Her voice carried a mix of wonder and trepidation, reflecting the collective unease that would soon ripple through the neighborhood. The man, still flustered, tried to regain his composure. "She's different," he managed, his voice barely above a whisper. Margaret nodded, her eyes wide. "Different doesn't even begin to cover it," she replied, glancing back at the alien, whose very presence seemed to bend the air around her. As the afternoon wore on, the initial encounter gave way to a series of small, tentative interactions. The man found himself stealing glances at the alien through his window, watching as she moved with an otherworldly grace around her yard. Occasionally, their eyes would meet, and her violet gaze would linger, leaving him both exhilarated and unnerved. These fleeting moments marked the beginning of what would become a profound connection, one that would transform not only his life but also the lives of those around him. For Margaret, the alien's arrival sparked a whirlwind of emotions. On one hand, she felt a deep curiosity about this stranger from another world. On the other, a gnawing fear of the unknown began to take root. "What does she want here?" she wondered aloud, voicing the question that echoed in the minds of many. Her initial apprehension, however, slowly gave way to fascination as she observed the alien's gentle demeanor and the strange beauty she brought to the neighborhood. The flowers in her garden seemed to bloom brighter, their colors more vivid, as if responding to the alien's presence. Even the air felt charged with an unfamiliar energy, a subtle hum that lingered long after she had passed by. These early interactions laid the groundwork for a story that would unfold in ways no one could have predicted. The alien's arrival was more than just an oddity, it was the catalyst for a journey that would challenge perceptions, forge unlikely bonds, and ultimately redefine what it meant to belong. For the man and Margaret, the encounter was the first step into a world where the boundaries between the familiar and the extraordinary began to blur, setting the stage for an adventure that would leave an indelible mark on their lives. As the days stretched into weeks, the bond between the man and the alien grew stronger, nurtured by shared experiences and a mutual sense of wonder. Their initial awkwardness gave way to a natural rhythm, as though their connection transcended the barriers of species and origin. It began with small gestures, a wave over the fence, a polite nod during morning walks, but soon evolved into exchanges that carried deeper meaning. One evening, as the man watered his garden, the alien appeared at the edge of his yard, her luminous presence casting a soft glow over the blossoms. "Your flowers are lovely," she remarked, her voice carrying the same melodic quality that had first captivated him. The compliment caught him off guard, and he nearly dropped the hose in surprise. Thank you," he stammered, feeling a warmth rise in his cheeks. Encouraged by his response, she continued, "On my world, we have plants that sing when they bloom. Perhaps I could show you sometime." The idea struck him as both fantastical and enchanting, and he found himself nodding eagerly. "That sounds incredible," he managed, his voice tinged with awe. Her smile widened, lighting up her violet eyes with a mischievous gleam. "Excellent. It's a date then," she declared before turning and disappearing into the twilight. Their interactions became more frequent after that, each encounter weaving another thread into the tapestry of their growing relationship. One afternoon, as the man trimmed his hedges, he heard a frustrated sigh coming from the alien's yard. Peering over the fence, he saw her struggling with what appeared to be a large, pulsating plant. "Need a hand?" he called out impulsively, surprising even himself. She looked up, relief evident in her expression. Oh, yes, please. This Lumina bush is being quite stubborn. Stepping into her yard, he was struck by the surreal beauty of her surroundings. Alien flora surrounded him, glowing softly in hues that seemed to shift and dance with every movement. "What exactly do you need me to do?" he asked cautiously, approaching the plant. She gestured to a spot behind it. "If you could just hold it steady while I replant it, that would be wonderful." Nodding, he moved into position, gripping the plant's trunk. A warm, tingling sensation spread through his hands, startling him. "Don't mind that," she said with a laugh. "It's just saying hello." Watching her deftly maneuver the plant into a new pot, he found himself mesmerized by the fluidity of her movements and the play of light across her shimmering skin. When she finally stood, triumph shining in her eyes, she turned to him. "Thank you for your help. I don't know what I'd do without such a kind neighbor." The moment hung in the air between them, charged with an unspoken understanding. Her proximity filled him with an intoxicating mix of curiosity and desire, and he struggled to find the right words. "It was my pleasure," he managed, his voice huskier than intended. Her gaze lingered on him, a flicker of something primal sparking in her eyes. "Perhaps you'd like to stay for a drink? I have a beverage from my home world I think you'd enjoy." Despite the bizarre nature of the situation, he found himself nodding. "I'd love to," he heard himself say, his voice betraying a mix of hesitation and anticipation. Following her inside, he marveled at the blend of earth furnishings and alien technology that adorned her home. Orbs of light hovered near the ceiling, casting a soft glow throughout the space. "Make yourself comfortable," she said, gesturing to a peculiar-looking couch that seemed to mold itself to his body as he sat. She busied herself in what he assumed was the kitchen area, though it bore little resemblance to any kitchen he had ever seen. Strange, colorful liquids bubbled in transparent containers, filling the air with an otherworldly fragrance. "So," he began, attempting to sound casual, "what brings you to Earth? Specifically to our little suburb?" She turned to him, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "Curiosity, mainly. Your planet has fascinated me for some time. And as for this neighborhood," her eyes locked onto his, and he felt a shiver run down his spine. "Let's just say I had a feeling I'd find something interesting here." His mouth went dry, and before he could formulate a response, she returned with 2 glasses filled with a shimmering opalescent liquid. "Here we are," she said, handing him one. "A special brew from my home world. I think you'll find it quite stimulating." Taking a cautious sip, he felt the liquid dance on his tongue, leaving a tingling sensation in its wake. Heat spread through his body, and suddenly the room felt much warmer. "This is remarkable," he said, his voice slightly strained. Her smile widened, satisfaction evident in her expression. "I'm so glad you like it. You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask you." Leaning closer, her scent enveloped him, making his head swim. Whether from the drink or her proximity, he couldn't tell. "Yes," he croaked, his pulse quickening. "I was wondering if you might show me around town sometime. Everything here is so new and exciting. I'd love to experience it with someone who knows the area." The request seemed innocent enough, but there was an undercurrent to her words that he couldn't quite place. Before he could fully process the question, he found himself nodding. "Great," she exclaimed, clapping her hands together. The motion caused ripples of light to dance across her skin. "It's a date then." The word hung in the air, sending his mind spinning. Was he reading too much into this? Surely an alien wouldn't be interested in him that way. And even if she was, wasn't that crossing some sort of interplanetary line? As if sensing his internal struggle, she placed a hand on his arm, sending another jolt of electricity through him. "I hope I'm not being too forward," she said softly. "It's just, there's something about you. I felt it the moment I saw you." He stared into her violet eyes, feeling as though he could fall into them. I felt it too, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. But this is all so strange. She finished his sentence for him, her tone playful. New. Exciting. He nodded, unable to find the words. Her smile turned mischievous. Those are the best kinds of experiences, don't you think? The ones that shake us out of our routines and make us feel alive again. Her words hit him like a physical force. How long had it been since he'd truly felt alive? Since he'd taken a risk, embraced the unknown? Before he could respond, a loud crash from outside made them both jump. Rushing to the window, they saw her plants writhing and pulsating, growing at an alarming rate. One had already broken through the fence separating their properties. Oh my, she breathed, staring at the chaos unfolding in her yard. It seems the atmospheric conditions here are having quite an effect on my garden. The man gaped at the scene, his mind racing. Is this normal? She bit her lip, a gesture that was oddly human. Not exactly. You see, there's something I should probably tell you. The man stood frozen, his eyes darting between the alien and the chaotic spectacle in her yard. Her alien flora surged with vitality, tendrils pulsing with an otherworldly luminescence that seemed to defy the laws of nature. The once tame garden had transformed into a riot of bioluminescent blooms, their colors shifting in hypnotic patterns. Each flower exuded a fragrance so potent it seemed to seep into his very soul, awakening senses he didn't know he possessed. The air vibrated with an energy that was palpable, almost tangible, as if the plants themselves were alive with consciousness. He turned to her, his voice trembling. What's happening? She hesitated, her violet gaze clouded with a mixture of awe and concern. My emotions, they affect the world around me, she confessed, her words barely audible over the rustling leaves. On my planet, this connection is common, but here on Earth, it's amplified. Her admission sent a shiver down his spine. The realization that her innermost feelings could manifest so powerfully in the physical realm was both exhilarating and unsettling. He watched as one particularly vibrant vine coiled around the fence post, its surface shimmering like liquid gold. It was as though the garden was an extension of her being, a living canvas upon which her emotions painted themselves in vivid strokes. The implications of this revelation weighed heavily on him. If her emotions could shape the environment so dramatically, what did that mean for their burgeoning relationship? Every interaction, every shared moment, carried the potential to alter the world around them. The stakes felt impossibly high, yet he couldn't deny the pull he felt toward her. There was something intoxicating about the idea of being part of something so vast, so inexplicable. She glanced at him, her expression a mix of vulnerability and determination. I didn't mean to keep this from you, she said softly. But I was afraid of how you might react. He nodded slowly, trying to process the enormity of what she had shared. It's a lot to take in, he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. But I can't ignore what I'm feeling either. The connection between them was undeniable, a force that seemed to transcend logic and reason. It was as though the universe itself had conspired to bring them together, weaving their lives into a tapestry of shared experiences and mutual discovery. Yet, with this newfound understanding came a sense of responsibility, one that neither of them had anticipated. The garden served as a constant reminder of the delicate balance they must maintain. Each bloom, each tendril, was a testament to her emotional state, a reflection of the bond they were forging. As they stood side by side, watching the alien flora sway gently in the breeze, he felt a profound sense of awe. The garden was not just a collection of plants, it was a living metaphor for their relationship, fragile yet resilient, unpredictable yet beautiful. We'll figure this out together, he said finally, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. She smiled, her skin glowing softly in response, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. This revelation marked a turning point in their journey. It was no longer just about navigating the challenges of their differences, it was about embracing the extraordinary possibilities that lay ahead. The garden had become a symbol of their union, a testament to the transformative power of connection. As they faced the future together, they knew that their bond would continue to shape the world around them, creating ripples that would extend far beyond the confines of their quiet suburban street. The path to understanding and acceptance was fraught with challenges, as the couple grappled with the complexities of their interplanetary relationship. Each day brought new revelations and hurdles, testing the strength of their bond and their willingness to embrace the unknown. The aliens' unique abilities, while fascinating, often led to unforeseen consequences that reverberated through their lives and the community. One of the most significant challenges arose from the public's reaction to the aliens' presence. News of the glowing plants and the mysterious occurrences at the couple's home quickly spread through the neighborhood, sparking a mix of curiosity and fear among the residents. Whispers of alien invasions and government conspiracies swirled, fueled by the sight of floating orbs and luminescent flora that defied conventional explanation. Some neighbors, like Mrs. Peterson, oscillated between fascination and suspicion, her tinfoil hat becoming a symbol of the community's divided sentiments. The couple faced these external pressures with resilience, finding solace in their shared experiences and unwavering support for one another. However, the internal struggles were equally daunting. The man wrestled with feelings of inadequacy, questioning whether he could truly understand or meet the needs of someone so fundamentally different from himself. The alien, too, battled her own insecurities, worried that her emotional fluctuations might inadvertently harm those she cared about. Despite these challenges, their relationship deepened, rooted in a profound respect for each other's uniqueness. They learned to navigate their differences with patience and humor, often finding joy in the smallest of moments. A simple walk through the garden, where they marveled at the alien blooms that responded to their touch, became a cherished ritual. These instances reinforced their belief in the beauty of diversity and the strength found in unity. Moreover, the couple discovered that their challenges were not just obstacles but opportunities for growth. Each trial forced them to confront their fears and biases, leading to greater empathy and understanding. The man, initially overwhelmed by the aliens' capabilities, came to appreciate the wonder they brought into his life. Similarly, the alien learned to temper her powers, finding harmony in restraint and the joy of sharing simple pleasures with her partner. Their journey was a testament to the power of love to transcend boundaries, be they cultural, planetary, or existential. Through open communication and a commitment to learning from each other, they built a relationship that was as resilient as it was extraordinary. This bond not only enriched their lives but also served as a beacon of hope and possibility for those around them, challenging preconceived notions and fostering a community more open to the wonders of the universe. The arrival of the alien visitor had done more than disrupt the quiet predictability of the suburban street, it had set in motion a chain of changes that rippled outward, reshaping the lives of everyone who called the neighborhood home. What had once been a community defined by its uniformity and unspoken rules of conformity now buzzed with an electric energy, as though the very air had been infused with possibility. The signs of transformation were everywhere, subtle yet undeniable, and they began to reveal themselves in the most unexpected ways. At first, the changes manifested in small, almost imperceptible details. Mrs. Peterson, who had initially greeted the alien with a mix of wonder and wariness, found herself spending hours gazing out her window at the glowing blooms that now lined the fences and yards. Her prized petunias, once the envy of the block, had been overtaken by strange, iridescent flowers that pulsed softly in the moonlight. To her surprise, she didn't mourn their loss. Instead, she marveled at the way the alien plants seemed to respond to her presence, their petals unfurling further whenever she approached. It was as though they recognized her, welcoming her into their otherworldly beauty. Over time, her skepticism softened, replaced by a quiet reverence for the extraordinary. She even began knitting tiny glow-in-the-dark booties, her needles clicking rhythmically as she imagined the child who would soon arrive to bridge two worlds. Across the street, the children who had once played listlessly on swing sets and sidewalks now gathered in the alien's yard, their laughter echoing through the neighborhood. Drawn by the allure of the pulsating orbs and shimmering vines, they invented games that revolved around the alien flora. One group pretended the plants were portals to distant galaxies, while another staged elaborate adventures where they defended the glowing garden from imaginary invaders. For the first time in years, the adults noticed a spark of imagination in their children's eyes, a creativity that had been dulled by the monotony of suburban life. Parents, too, began to participate, joining in impromptu storytelling sessions under the starlit canopy created by the aliens' luminescent trees. Even the local wildlife seemed to thrive in the presence of the aliens' influence. Birds with iridescent plumage flocked to the neighborhood, their songs weaving intricate melodies that resonated with the hum of the glowing plants. Bees and butterflies, drawn by the vibrant colors and intoxicating fragrances, flitted from bloom to bloom, pollinating not just the alien flora but also the native flowers that had begun to flourish alongside them. The once barren patches of earth between driveways and sidewalks were now lush with greenery, as though the aliens' energy had awakened a dormant vitality in the soil itself. For the man, these transformations were both a source of pride and a reminder of the profound impact his partner had on the world around her. He watched as neighbors who had once kept to themselves began to gather more frequently, drawn together by a shared sense of wonder. Barbecues and block parties, once rare occurrences, became regular fixtures of the community calendar. Conversations that had previously revolved around hedge trimming and property taxes now veered into discussions about the mysteries of the universe and the possibilities of life beyond Earth. Yet, the changes weren't confined to the physical or social landscape of the neighborhood. On a deeper level, the aliens' presence had ignited a shift in perspective, challenging the residents to reconsider their assumptions about what was possible. Mr. Thompson, the retired engineer who had spent decades scoffing at anything he deemed unscientific, found himself poring over books about astrophysics and quantum mechanics, eager to understand the principles behind the aliens' abilities. Mrs. Carter, the schoolteacher who had always prided herself on her practicality, began incorporating lessons about biodiversity and interstellar ecosystems into her curriculum, inspired by the aliens' glowing garden. Even the man himself was not immune to the transformative effects of his partner's influence. Where once he had felt trapped in the monotony of his daily routine, he now found himself energized by the endless opportunities for discovery. Colors seemed brighter, sounds more vivid, and even the simplest tasks carried a sense of purpose. He noticed, too, that his perception of time had shifted. Days that had once dragged on endlessly now flew by in a blur of shared experiences and newfound wonder. As the neighborhood continued to evolve, it became clear that the aliens' arrival had catalyzed something far greater than anyone could have anticipated. What had started as a disruption to the status quo had blossomed into a celebration of diversity, creativity, and interconnectedness. The community, once bound by its sameness, had discovered a newfound appreciation for the extraordinary. And at the heart of it all stood the man and his partner, their love serving as both the seed and the sunlight that nourished this transformation. In the evenings, as the aliens' garden glowed softly under the stars, the man often found himself reflecting on how far they had come. The journey had been anything but easy, but it had been worth every challenge. Together, they had not only changed each other's lives but had also planted the seeds of change in the world around them. And as he looked out at the vibrant, thriving neighborhood, he realized that their story was just beginning. The months that followed were a whirlwind of preparation, adaptation, and profound transformation as the couple prepared to welcome their child, a being who embodied the extraordinary union of two worlds. The pregnancy itself was a marvel, progressing at a pace that defied human norms and leaving the man both awestruck and deeply concerned. Her body, already a luminous testament to her alien heritage, underwent changes that were as beautiful as they were bewildering. Her skin took on an even brighter glow, and her violet eyes seemed to shimmer with a depth that hinted at the life growing within her. Yet, alongside the wonder came moments of uncertainty, as the couple navigated the uncharted territory of blending their vastly different physiologies and preparing their home for the arrival of a child who would be unlike any other. They sought guidance wherever they could find it, consulting with a small circle of trusted scientists who had been discreetly informed of the aliens' true nature. These experts marveled at the biological processes unfolding before them, documenting phenomena that defied conventional understanding. The man listened intently as they explained the intricacies of their findings, though much of it felt like science fiction brought to life. Her biology operates on a completely different framework, one researcher explained, holding up a holographic image of the developing fetus. It's as if her body is creating a bridge between your species, adapting in real time to ensure compatibility. The man nodded, though his mind raced with questions. Would their child inherit her glowing skin? Her ability to manipulate energy fields? Would they ever truly belong in either of their parents' worlds? Despite the challenges, the couple found solace in the shared experience of anticipation. They spent countless hours imagining the life they would build together, envisioning a future where their child could thrive in a world that celebrated their uniqueness. The man took particular joy in assembling the nursery, blending elements of earthly comfort with touches of her alien heritage. A mobile of shimmering orbs hung above the crib, designed to mimic the floating lights of her home planet, while soft, earth-toned blankets provided a grounding sense of familiarity. Together, they crafted a space that was as much a reflection of their love as it was a sanctuary for their child. When the night of labor finally arrived, the sky above their home erupted in a spectacular display of auroras, as if the universe itself was celebrating the birth of their child. The man held her hand tightly, marveling at her strength and grace as she brought their daughter into the world. With a final push and a burst of blinding light, their baby was born, a tiny, glowing bundle who seemed to radiate with the essence of both her parents. Her dark hair framed a face that was unmistakably his, while her violet eyes mirrored her mother's otherworldly beauty. In that moment, the man felt a surge of love so powerful it brought tears to his eyes. "What should we name her?" her voice asked softly, exhaustion mingling with joy. The man gazed down at their daughter, watching as she opened her eyes and fixed him with a gaze that seemed far wiser than her few minutes of life. "How about Aurora?" he suggested, his voice thick with emotion. The name felt fitting, a tribute to the celestial lights that had danced in the sky during her birth. She smiled, reaching out to caress their daughter's cheek. "Aurora," she repeated, her voice filled with wonder. "It's perfect." As the days passed, the couple marveled at the rapid growth and development of their child. Aurora displayed abilities that were a unique blend of her human and alien heritage, each new milestone a testament to the harmonious fusion of their two worlds. By the time she was just a few weeks old, she could make flowers bloom with a single touch, her tiny hands imbued with the same energy that coursed through her mother's veins. Yet, she also showed a keen interest in the technological wonders of Earth, often dismantling her father's gadgets to study their inner workings. Watching her tinker with a remote control or stack glowing orbs into precarious towers, the man couldn't help but laugh. "She's going to be brilliant," he said, pride swelling in his chest. But with these joys came new challenges, as the couple grappled with the responsibilities of raising a child who defied categorization. How could they prepare Aurora for a world that might not understand her? How could they ensure that she felt a sense of belonging in a society that often feared what it didn't comprehend? These questions weighed heavily on their minds, but they faced them with the same determination that had guided them through every other obstacle. Together, they resolved to create a foundation of love, acceptance, and curiosity, teaching Aurora to embrace her dual heritage and use her gifts to inspire others. One sunny afternoon, as they sat in their garden watching Aurora play among the alien flora, the man turned to his partner with a smile. "You know," he began, his voice tinged with awe, "when you first moved in next door, I never imagined this is where we'd end up, an interspecies family raising a child who might very well change the course of human-alien relations." His partner leaned against him, her skin glowing with contentment. "Are you happy?" she asked, her violet eyes searching his face. He looked around at the garden, a perfect blend of earth and alien plants, and thought of the love they shared and the wonder of watching their daughter grow. "Happier than I ever thought possible," he replied, pulling her close for a kiss. As their lips met, Aurora giggled, clapping her tiny hands in delight. A shower of luminescent petals rained down around them, and in that moment, the man knew that this beautiful, chaotic, otherworldly life, was exactly where he was meant to be. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting its golden farewell over the transformed garden, the man sat quietly beside his partner, their daughter nestled between them. The day had been filled with laughter, discovery, and the quiet hum of life that now seemed to permeate every corner of their home. Yet, as the sky deepened into twilight, a reflective calm settled over him, prompting him to consider the broader implications of their extraordinary journey. This was no longer just a story of two individuals from vastly different worlds, it was a testament to the boundless possibilities that arise when humanity embraces the unknown with courage and curiosity. One of the most profound lessons he had learned was the importance of openness, to new experiences, new perspectives, and the inherent mystery of existence. Before his partner's arrival, he had been content to let life pass him by, lulled into complacency by the predictability of his suburban routine. But her presence had shattered that illusion, forcing him to confront the limitations of his worldview and expand his understanding of what it means to truly live. "Life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it?" she had said earlier that evening, her voice carrying the same melodic quality that had first captivated him. He smiled now, recalling her words. Indeed, life had surprised him in ways he could never have imagined, and he was grateful for every twist and turn. Their relationship had also underscored the transformative power of love, not just romantic love, but the kind of unconditional acceptance that transcends boundaries and defies expectations. Together, they had forged a bond that was as resilient as it was extraordinary, rooted in a mutual respect for their differences and a shared commitment to growth. Their love had not only enriched their own lives but had also served as a beacon of hope for their community, challenging preconceived notions and fostering a spirit of inclusivity. The glowing garden, with its vibrant blooms and shimmering orbs, had become a symbol of this unity, a living testament to the beauty that emerges when diverse elements come together in harmony. Beyond their immediate circle, the man recognized the broader societal implications of their story. In a world often divided by fear of the unknown, their union represented the potential for collaboration and understanding between vastly different cultures. It reminded him of the importance of breaking down barriers, whether they be based on nationality, ideology, or even species, and embracing the richness that diversity brings. Their daughter, Aurora, was a living embodiment of this potential, a bridge between worlds who carried within her the promise of a future shaped by cooperation and mutual respect. Looking ahead, he knew that challenges would continue to arise. Raising a child who defied categorization would require patience, creativity, and an unwavering belief in the value of individuality. Yet, he also knew that they were equipped to face whatever lay ahead, fortified by the love and resilience they had cultivated together. As the first stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky, he felt a deep sense of peace wash over him, mingled with the thrill of anticipation. Their journey was far from over, in fact, it was only just beginning. With his partner by his side and Aurora representing the future, he felt ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited them. The garden, now alive with the soft glow of bioluminescent petals, seemed to echo his sentiment, its beauty a reminder that even the most ordinary spaces can become extraordinary when infused with wonder and possibility. For the man, this was more than just a personal awakening, it was a call to action, an invitation to live boldly and embrace the unknown with open arms. As he gazed up at the stars, he whispered a silent promise to himself and to the universe, to remain curious, to cherish the connections that bind us, and to never stop seeking the light that guides us forward. And so, as the night deepened and the world around them fell into a tranquil hush, he knew that their story was not just one of love and transformation but also a reminder of the infinite potential that lies within each of us. It was a story that invited others to look beyond their own horizons, to welcome the unexpected with courage and grace, and to believe in the magic of possibility. After all, sometimes the most incredible adventures begin with a simple hello to a neighbor next door, who knows what wonders await just around the corner.